Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion on the best top laners for patch 6.9. So first up is going to be Sion. Sion is a very good tank engaged top lane champion. He's pretty much good at all stages of the game. He really doesn't have a weak point to his game. He's a great roaming champion too. Whenever you hit level 6 as Sion, if the enemy bot lane is pushing out, look to go bot with your ultimate and try to make something happen, because most of the time you're gonna be able to pick up a kill if you do go bot at level 6. He does have his shield as well, which scales really well into the late game. His shield is just gonna shield him for a lot once he does get his tank items, because it does scale with health. And he is a very strong crowd control champion too. He's got his Q, his E, and his ultimate. A few cons to Sion though are that he is a pretty easy gank target pre-6, since he does not have a gap closer, and his ultimate can definitely be hard to land at times, especially if you're not used to playing Sion. Next on my list, I have Trundle. So right now, with this meta being a tank meta, Trundle is definitely one of the strongest top lane picks. If the enemy team does lock someone like a Sion, a Maokai, or a Nautilus, then definitely look to pick Trundle. Once you do get to those mid to late game team fights, if you can use your ultimate on that tanky target, then you're going to be basically unkillable in team fights. You're still going to do quite a bit of damage, and the enemy tank is going to be really easy to kill since you're going to steal those tank stats. So definitely look to pick Trundle if the enemy team does lock a tank champion. He is a pretty strong laning champion too, and once you do get to those mid to late game team fights, his E is really strong if it can be placed correctly. His E provides the knockback, and then it also provides the really good slow, so I think that if you can place Trundle's E correctly in a team fight, it can definitely be a very game-changing ability. He also is very good at setting up ganks due to his E, and his sustain in the laning phase is also quite nice with his passive. A few cons to Trundle though are that he can get kited pretty easily since he does not have a gap closer, and he doesn't really have any good hard engage when you compare him to champions like Sion or Malphite. Next up is going to be Malphite. So Malphite has always been my personal favorite top lane champion for a while now, just because he's a very easy champion to play, but he's a very rewarding champion if he can be played correctly. So all you have to do with Malphite basically is look for AoE ultimates in teamfights. If you can hit a nice 3-man or a 4-man ultimate in a teamfight, or if you can just pick out the enemy AD carry or mid laner, then you're gonna do really well with Malphite. He is pretty tanky too. Once you do get to late game, you're gonna have your tank items, your passive is going to shield you for a lot, so Malphite is really hard to kill once you do get to that late game. He's a really good pick against any AD comps or AD champions too, because the more armor you build with Malphite, the more damage your W and your E are going to do. And he does have pretty strong crowd control in his kit with his Q and his ultimate. A few cons to Malphite are that he is a pretty easy gank target early game since he does not have a gap closer pre-6, and he also does have pretty high mana costs on his abilities, so I would definitely recommend starting Corrupting Potion on Malphite. Next on my list, I have Maokai. So right now, Maokai has the highest pick rate for any top lane champion, and that's for pretty good reason, because he's a fairly easy top lane champion to play, and he's really rewarding if you can get ahead with him and if you can start team fighting with him. He's an AP bruiser top lane champion, so when I play Maokai, I go Rod of Ages. After that, I go full tank, and you can still deal so much damage with him. If you can jump on the enemy AD carry or squishy target in a team fight, get all of your abilities off, you're gonna be able to chunk them down to below half HP, and you might even be able to kill them straight up. So that's just pretty crazy. You don't even need to go Rod of Ages on Maokai. I like to, because I like to deal a little bit more damage, but you can just go full tank on him and you can still deal quite a bit of damage. He's got great crowd control in his kit with his Q, his W, and his E. His point and click route is really strong for team fights, especially if you do get that off on the enemy squishy target. If the enemy AD carry does not buy a QSS, then it's just going to be really easy for you to just root them in a team fight and just knock them back into your team, and your team should definitely be able to kill them for the duration that they are CC'd for. He does have a great ultimate too. It provides that damage reduction, which is really good for team fighting, and he is pretty strong at all stages of the game. One con to Maokai though is that he can get kited pretty easily if his W is on cooldown. And to round out my top 5 for this patch, I have Echo. So Echo has stayed a very strong top lane pick for these past few patches now. He did get a nerf a few patches ago, I think it was last patch, but that really didn't affect him too much. They nerfed his W shield, and that isn't really what made him strong. What made him strong was the high base damage on his abilities. His E and his Q have really high base damage, so you don't even need to build a whole lot of AP on Echo or any AP at all, and you can still deal a lot of damage. The build of Iceborne Gauntlet and Sunfire Cape is really effective on him because it does allow him to deal a little bit of damage, and it also allows him to split push pretty well, and it allows him to stick onto his targets in teamfights or whenever he is dueling them due to the Iceborne Gauntlet. He is a very tanky champion too. He's really hard to kill because of his ultimate. You can just dive in on the back line as Echo. If the engage isn't looking good, or if it's not one that you want, then you can just press R and back right out. So he's a really low risk, high reward champion, because if you dive in and you land your W, then if you land that on multiple targets, that could win the team fight right there. But if you don't hit your W, then it's alright because you just press R and you can reset the fight. He does have the gap closer on his E2, which allows him to just dive in on the back line or dive in on his target. And he is a very strong split pushing champion due to the fact that he is going to build the Sunfire Cape, and he also does have his Q, which allows him to clear the wave out pretty quickly. And one con to Echo is that he is a little bit harder to play than some of the other top lane champions. His W is a very rewarding ability if you can hit it, but it definitely does take some time to get used to. You have to predict where the enemy champion is going to be able to hit it, and if you're not used to playing Echo, then it definitely can be hard to land. Even if you can't hit your W consistently on Echo though, he is still going to be a very strong champion. So first up on the honorable mentions, I have Pantheon. Pantheon is one of the strongest lane bully top laners. If you can get ahead with Pantheon, then you can just absolutely take over a game. If you do get ahead in the laning phase, let's say you pick up a kill, then definitely look to go for a roam once you get your ultimate at level 6. If the bot lane or mid lane is pushing out, then that's pretty much a free kill if you just walk down there and use your ultimate. So as long as you do get ahead with Pantheon, he can be a very good champion. Next up, I have Aurelia. So Aurelia is definitely one of the stronger dueling top lane champions. If you can play her correctly to where the enemy is always a little bit higher HP than you are, then you can get nice stuns off in the laning phase, and you can definitely end up solo killing the opponent multiple times if you can like dash to minions and then get the stun off on the opponent, dash to them again. You just have a lot of outplay potential in the laning phase if you know how to play her correctly, and you can definitely get a good snowball going with her. Next up, I have Kayle. So Kayle is definitely one of the stronger AP top lane champions. She does have the highest win rate in the game for any top laner right now, but her pick rate is only at 2%, so it's kind of hard to judge from her pick rate whether or not she is the strongest top lane pick right now. I do think she is a pretty good pick though, because she does have a lot of favorable matchups in the top lane. She is a ranged top lane champion whenever her E is active, so that just allows her to farm up really nicely in the laning phase, and she is also a great pick against any assassin. If the enemy team does lock a Zed in the mid lane, then I would definitely pick Kayle this patch. The fact that QSS is not going to work anymore on Zed's ultimate, your ultimate is going to be much more effective now if you put that on your AD carry in a team fight, especially once you get to late game. Next on the honorable mentions, I have the reworked Vladimir. So Vladimir already had a pretty strong late game. He was known as one of the better scaling top laners, but now his late game is just absolutely crazy. He does lack a little bit, or he doesn't have the best early game anymore. He does take a while to scale, but once you do get to mid to late game as Vlad, the amount of damage you can get off with your E and your ultimate now is just really insane. Your Q also does a lot of damage once you get a few points in it, and once you do get to mid to late game. So if you're looking for a strong scaling top lane champion, then I would definitely play Vlad right now. Next I have Wukong. So Wukong is one of the stronger teamfight top lane champions. If you do get ahead with Wukong, then definitely look to group with your team, look to teamfight whenever your ultimate is up, because if you can get a nice ultimate off in a teamfight, it's going to deal a lot of damage, it's going to provide nice crowd control, and the chances of you winning that teamfight are going going to be very high. And lastly, on my honorable mentions, I have Nautilus. So Nautilus is one of the stronger CC top lane champions. He's got 4 crowd control abilities in his kit, being his passive, his Q, his E, and his ultimate. So if your team is lacking crowd control, then I would pick Nautilus for sure. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. If you did enjoy, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. So thanks for watching, guys. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.